Going on, it's Budgie Team. Welcome back to another episode of South Stand Signings. The series, of course, will go through everything happening in and around the world. Leeds United, and we have a little talk about it. And there has been a few stories. I was away for a couple of days. I do apologise, but we are back, and there are some things to have a discussion about. And finally, it is a positive sign on one of these videos because Leeds United have confirmed a signing. I know you guys already know by now. Leeds United have secured James Justin from Leicester City in a huge deal because our fullback areas, as we saw against Arsenal, need a lot of cover and a lot of work. It is by no means the finished article in defence, and James Justin is a big signing for Leeds United. His stats are very comparable to Jayden Bogle, who actually was probably the better fullback against Arsenal. I think that's up for zero debate at all. And arguably a little bit better in terms of his defensive interception work, in terms of his take-ons, in terms of some of his attacking qualities. He actually shares similar qualities to Jayden Bogle, and if anything, in his last season at Leicester, outperformed him ever so slightly compared to Bogle's season at Sheffield United. I think it's a really good signing for Leeds United for two reasons. Now, let's go through some of his quotes before I get into the second reason, which is very interesting. So he told Leeds United at LUTV, "It's been a while since I've known of the interest, but obviously I was still a Leicester player, so I had to give my all for Leicester while I was there. Unlike some players, Mateo Joseph, Alexander Isak, that's something that obviously you can expect from me. When I put on a Leeds United shirt, is to give my all when I'm on the pitch. But for it to finally have happened, it's taken a weight off my shoulders, that's for sure." That last line is intriguing. It may have been a throwaway turn of phrase, but equally, it could have been something Justin genuinely felt when he talks about the weight on his shoulders. And we know that. I mean, just look at Isak Schmidt for an example. He does not play with the same confidence or smile or any enthusiasm like he had last season when he was playing for Leeds in pre-season, because he knew he was going. Now, why was this such an exciting move though? Why is this something that is really exciting me further beyond James Justin? Because it has absolutely screwed over Crystal Palace. And you know what? I'm very happy because we almost had this deal, it seems. Listen, we may have been completely far away. Maybe we're all living in delusional land. But it seems to me that that deal was actually relatively close to happening with Leeds United getting Bilal El Khannouss from Leicester City. We were 2 days away from his relegation clause expiring, and it looked like we were set to trigger it, and all of a sudden Palace come in. They were losing Eze, and that was enough of a sweetener to get El Khannouss to shut the doors on Leeds United. So it seems from the outside. However, due to the fact that Leicester City have made a couple of sales, the last one being James Justin for around 10 million to Leeds United, Wow. That has completely thrown a spanner in the works because Leicester City no longer are in a desperate need to sell El Khannouss for their PSR needs. So they've actually increased the price because they know, listen, there's actually a decent chance we keep on to this guy now. We don't need to sell him. And they have increased the price to around £35 million. And Crystal Palace are saying, listen, mate, we ain't going for that one. So not only have we screwed over Crystal Palace and strengthened our squad at the same time, signing James Justin, but there is a very slight chance that if Leeds United were desperate enough, that we might still go in for Bilal El Khannouss. Now, don't get me wrong, after him choosing Palace over us, after him now having his price hiked up to £35 million, which would be a record for Leeds, I highly doubt that Leeds United are going to get this move done. It is a very outside shot, but at least we're either taking more money off Palace or screwing them over by stopping them from getting their man. And 35 million realistically shouldn't even be too much for them after the Eze sale, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. Now, speaking of never knowing what's going to happen in the future, this man, Mr. Largie Ramazani, who obviously you guys all know about the stories by now, he was left out of the Arsenal squad and is now being heavily reported with a move away over to Valencia with a loan deal in the offing for him. And this is something that is very disappointing on a personal level because I think this guy is one of the best players at the club. I still don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. I don't know why Daniel Farke left him out of the Arsenal squad. If we started him, could have been a completely different story. I think he's so talented. He has so much room for growth. And the fact we're letting him go and signing another winger, it seems, is actually a very, very bad move in my opinion. But I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so maybe it's something that had to happen. And Valencia are now close to getting him on a loan deal, and there is apparently going to be a small fee which could help Leeds out ever so slightly when it comes to PSR. And they are even reporting that the deal is so close that he might even be able to play against Getafe on Friday. And I can just see this guy absolutely firing on all cylinders back in the Liga. And Leeds United really, really missing out on this one. Big shame for me. Let me know what you guys think down below. But it could be something that ends up causing Farke's demise at the club. If this doesn't go well for Leeds now in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 games... if we don't sign an adequate replacement, if Ramazani goes on to have a banging season, Farke is going to be left with a lot of questions to answer. Now, speaking of questions that need no answering, on the other hand, Leeds United were targeting Fotis Ioannidis, but he is now set to join Sporting, and that was being reported by Facundo Buonanotte. So this is another forward that is off the books for Leeds United. Now, speaking of Ramazani and Leeds going in for new wide area additions, the latest player tipped to sign for Leeds United is Mr. Jota Silva, who is expected to leave Nottingham Forest before the end of the transfer window, as they are pushing to bring more wide players in the coming days. They're saying he's not good enough for them, so we need to bring in some higher caliber wide players, which makes you think, well, hang on a second, if he's not good enough for Forest, why would he be good enough for Leeds, mate? We should be competing with a side like Nottingham Forest this year. I know they had an amazing year last year. I don't expect them to kick on the same way. I think the Conference League will take a little bit of mojo off them in the Premier League, so we should be somewhat there or thereabouts them in theory. However, they are looking to lose him. It could be a good backup option for Leeds. He could feature behind our wingers. There's a backup, and maybe he won't mind playing 30-40% of the games. Maybe Ramazani cared more. Maybe that's what's going on. But £10 million is the quoted fee, and Leeds United are said to be interested in him by way of the Football Insider. Speaking of a player Leeds United have shown a lot more interest in, it is this man, Mr. Facundo Buonanotte, who's on loan at Leicester City and is, of course, a Brighton player who Leeds United are very, very interested in signing. This is coming by way of Cesar Luis Moreno, who says that both Leeds United and West Ham are leading the race to sign Facundo Buonanotte. Several clubs are vying for him, but these two are from the Premier League that are most determined. Now, the fact West Ham are involved makes you think this is going to be another one that Leeds United are going to miss out on, because every time we compete against someone in the transfer window, we lose out on them. One quick look at Facundo Buonanotte. He had a decent spell last season in the Premier League, registering 31 appearances with 5 goals and 2 assists. 2 games in the FA Cup, 1 goal and 1 assist in 90 minutes there. And 2 games in the EFL Cup where he only registered a solitary yellow card, bringing his total stats to 6 goals and 3 assists within 35 appearances. It must be noted, only 1,700 minutes played. He played 10 times in the trequartista position, aka the central midfield position. He played 4 times off the right, 9 times off the right wing, and 3 times off the right midfield position, actually registering 3 goals and 2 assists in his 9 appearances on the right wing. He's definitely more prolific further up the pitch on a wide area, which could be interesting for Farke, because we're even seeing, now that Farke has changed his formation up a little bit, it does seem like this 4-3-3 is what we're going to be gunning for going forward, because he's even playing Brendan Aronson in the wide areas, so he's not targeting anyone really to play the central areas. And I guess he likes the idea of being able to change his formation on the fly and bring some of these guys into the midfield, because Brendan Aronson at times when he's come on in the wide area seems like he's playing all over the gaff. Sometimes he's centrally, sometimes he's on the wing. He's not really hugging that wide position like a natural winger. So it's a really bit of a fluid formation that we've got going on here. Buonanotte would offer that versatility. 20 million euros is his current valuation on the transfer market, but we'd probably have to spend upwards of 25 million pounds to get him. Would this guy be worth 25 million pounds? I'm not too sure about it. I mean, as I said, his numbers for the limited amount of game time that he's had are very, very impressive. He's still only 20 years of age, sorry. He's 20 years old, so he has a lot of scope for development and could be an exciting signing for Leeds United going forward. I think this is one that we definitely need, depending on what other targets become available to us. But with the limited amount of quality targets there are out there, I think this is one Leeds United need to get done very quickly if we are going to do it. But we will have to keep you updated with everything going on in and around the move for Buonanotte. But let me know your thoughts down below, as I said. Now, Leeds United will be recouping some PSR money furthermore from Sam Greenwood. Fabrizio reports that an agreement has been reached with the Polish side Pogoń, with Greenwood signing a 3-year deal with an option for a 4th year. The deal would represent good business for Leeds in releasing a player who was not in Farke's plans and hasn't been for a good moment. In truth, he has not been part of his plan since Farke arrived, as we said, and £3.5 million for him. Yes, it's not the biggest fee, but that does go a long way, especially if you're looking at signing a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free. That £3.5 million could easily cover his wages for an entire season, depending on how much we're willing to pay him. That £3.5 million could go a very long way in helping us with that, and helping us bring in another player and recuperate some money from this and splash that money onto their wages. So, very good move for all parties concerned here. Greenwood needed to get out of Leeds United. Maybe a move away from English football in general could be the thing that reignites his career, and he is going to be gone. So let me know your thoughts on that one. How do you feel about Sam Greenwood? I think he's had a decent spell at Leeds. He did some good things for us back in the day, so I'll always have respect for the man, and I hope he goes on to really reinvigorate his career over in Poland. Now, a surprise story from Fabrizio Romano, who was talking about Kobbie Mainoo's future after a weird link to Leeds United, which again with our midfield, as stacked as it is, although without Ampadu, the fact that we're playing 2 men out further forward in the midfield than I would have expected in Stach and Tanaka. I thought that the 3 players, Longstaff, Tanaka and Stach, would have been vying for 2 defensive midfield roles, and we'd put a 10 in there. But the fact that they're playing together and Ampadu's miss now seems very important for Leeds, with Gruev not having a good game. Maybe we do still need another midfielder. But Kobbie Mainoo is not the man I expect to be that midfielder. And Romano was just talking about his future, saying obviously he's not getting any game time. He's being told he has to compete with Bruno Fernandes, which he's never going to really be able to get in ahead of Bruno. And he is most likely going to be leaving Manchester United this summer if he isn't given any more assurances on game time. But I don't see Leeds United being the man or the club that sign Kobbie Mainoo, even on loan, even if he was to leave. Now, finally, the 6 players Leeds United are looking to leave before the end of the window. Let's just have a little look at these. We've spoken about all of them pretty much. Isaac Schmidt, who has obviously agreed his move, and after the signing of James Justin, will be departing over to Werder Bremen. Largie Ramazani, who we unfortunately just spoke about. Patrick Bamford, who is still seeking a club. Middlesbrough have ruled out a reunion with him, and Wrexham have still chosen not to sign him, so we don't know what's going to happen with Patrick Bamford. We might still have him next year. Sam Greenwood, of course, Darko Djebe expected to leave, and Illan Meslier, although after Lucas Perry's terrible performance on the weekend, maybe Meslier might have a route back into the first team at Leeds United. Stranger things have happened, but Como are still very interested in the offer Leeds United have given him, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, even though they have made another signing themselves, Como, in that question being regarded. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. For now, though, I will see you very soon. Out of all my brothers and my sisters.